everyone. Good evening, good evening.
Okay, welcome. I would like to say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are or wherever you get to watch this video. Thank you so much for joining in live on Facebook, live on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining in. So you're welcome to yet another edition, monthly. So this just started like, how did this start? Just started like.
You invited me and then I took over.
Yeah, you took over.
I
Yes.
just
And you refused to go. I said, oh, there's
Should I
something.
go? You want
No,
me to
no,
go?
no, 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 not really.
Can go.
Yes, please go. Please go. So it started in the month of love, February, and we said, okay, let's do this stuff on love and mental health. Well, then it wasn't called love and mental health. It was just, let's just do something on identify toxic relationship. It went well, and we felt, well, there's a need here. So you're welcome to this April's edition of love and mental health. And this particular edition, we will be talking about something that personally, I always say this, I consider it a very important topic, because we will be talking about healthy conflict resolution in marriage. Healthy conflict resolutions in marriage. And in the words of Sigmund Freud, said, to love and walk and to walk and love, that's all there is. So that's the whole concept of love and mental health. To talk, it's one research said, one article I read said over 40 years of research has shown repeatedly that one's quality of relationship has a large impact on their health, their entire health, their entire health. So we can't stress it enough to have. So today we're going to have a very interesting topic. With me, I am Dr. Tefe Debbie. I'm a consultant psychiatrist, and with me is, drum roll.
I should introduce myself.
Please do.
So you are not going to introduce.
You are old
like
enough.
the queen, you need to.
You are old enough. You have age.
Okay, my name is Chigozirim Otefe Debbie. You can call me Chigo for short. And I'm his wife, and I'm a HR professional, and what else?
Author.
I'm an author, and what else? I'm a counselor, and what else? I'm a businesswoman.
Businesswoman, entrepreneur.
In short, I am all things through Christ that strengthens me. Anything.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. Okay, so this evening, like I said, we'll be talking about healthy conflicts in marriage. Let me start out by just saying that conflict is defined as a state of disharmony or disagreement between people, ideas, or interests. Between people, ideas, or interests. So I would like to just put some basics before we talk about some things. Conflict. Some people have said that they've been able to navigate their marriage with any form, without any form of conflict. That's fine. I'm not here to disprove or to prove or to argue with that. I think that's just really not really necessary. So if you are one of those persons, fantastic, great, awesome, I'm so happy for you. But one thing I've come to see over time, is that conflict is relatively common. I mean, we did a survey, and we're going to talk about the survey. My wife is going to talk about the survey very soon. That we put out there, causes of conflict in marriage, and conflict is quite common in marriage, and it stems from different things. I will talk about what the survey showed and what we have also seen, and and also being counselors, marriage counselors, we quite often, the reason why people come for marriage counseling is because they are having one form of conflict or the other. I read something that kind of literally, I would say personally, it liberated my mind. And the words were like this. The person said, it is not the presence of conflicts or repeated conflicts or the severity of conflicts that leads to a breakdown in marriage. Rather, it is the failure to resolve conflicts. And if I may add, is the failure to resolve conflict in a healthy manner. So, because in my own experience, I have seen people come into therapy, come into counseling sessions with what seemed like a very severe case of challenge, and then it is resolved, and then some other person comes in and their case seemingly is not as tough, but then they can't resolve it. So it made me just appreciate that statement that it is not the presence of conflict, because conflict, we've already defined it as a disagreement in ideas, in people, in interest. We are going to see things differently sometimes. That's normal. So conflict is almost like a commonplace. And then on that statement I really love is that think about your marriage like a house. And then the conflict is like a bulb that is bad in your marriage. The bulb in the house is that thing that a bad bulb in your house. Think about the conflict like that. Now, if you have a bad bulb in your house, does it mean you should then change the house, or you should change the bulb?
Change the bulb.
So I'm sure we are looking for now in today's conversation. We are going to try to answer some questions, but I am really looking forward to people writing their comments, sending their. I guess that's what had someone send last time that we didn't give time for people to send in their comments or send in their questions. Please feel free to ask your question at any point during the conversation this evening. Just send in your question and then we'll attempt to answer it. So that's it for me. Like, conflict is common. Before I just hand over and listen, I remember one of the beauty that I experienced early in our marriage was when I sat down. I sat down in a group. We're just less than a year, I think, in marriage, or about a year in marriage back then. And there were other people there. It was like a group session, even though we didn't call it a group session. But it was comforting for me when the guys started talking, the ladies and the guys, because we're all about the same, just maybe 1 year or 2 years apart in marriage, 3 years or thereabout. And people started sharing their own challenges, and I realized that it wasn't peculiar to me. So that realization, knowing that conflict is not peculiar to our own marriage, but it is, like I said, is the failure to resolve it in a healthy manner. So today that's what we're going to be looking at. So over to you. You mind sharing the survey?
Okay, so once again, good evening everyone, and thank you so much for joining in. I see some familiar names. Hello everyone, good evening. So in preparation for today's meeting discussion or conversation, let me not call it show. In preparation for today's conversation, we shared a survey for people to respond and give us their opinions on the top 3 causes of conflict in marriage. Actually, we had a very, very generous response,
and thank you
so much to everyone who responded. It was more than we expected. Thank you very much.
Maybe it's also a sign of plenty conflict.
So 88% of the people who responded were married or are married.
Okay.
And then we had a few singles, and a few people separated, no divorcee or non-divorced. And they said top 3 reasons for conflict in marriage. Number 1, financial issues. Like, financial issues was hands down the number one by a long shot, and then
money,
closely followed by sex related issues. You know, so single people, if there's any single person listening to this, I mean, this sex of a thing that people are like, we need to marry so that we can do this thing well or whatever, is also causing problem inside. So we are confused. Okay, and number 3 reason is decision making style and the outcomes of the decisions.
Okay.
So someone we know, we call that power. So how decisions are made in the marriage by either party, and the outcomes of those decisions came third. And then we have the 4th reason is in-laws. Hello, in-laws, are you here? In-laws, are you listening? You are the 4th you are the 4th reason.
You are the 4th problem.
You are the 4th problem in causing. You are the 4th issue causing problem in people's marriages. We are all in-laws. I know somebody.
I'm sure I'm part of
so,
I may be part of the problem.
So 4 issues: money, sex, decision making styles and the outcomes, and of course, you know, in-laws. These are the top 4. We had to bring in, we asked for top 3, but in-laws was too significant to ignore. It was really, really close to number 3, which is or was decision making style and the outcomes from those decisions.
Okay.
So yeah, those are the 4 things people are having issues with. And so what does that tell you? What's the implication? The implication is, number 1, if you're married and you're having challenges with your spouse because of any of these 4 issues, then it means you're not alone. It means you're not alone. Like, so many people took this survey and they came back with the same, you know, the highest issues. It doesn't mean there weren't other issues. There were some people, but those other issues paled in comparison. They were in trickles. So things like other third parties. Yes, other third parties was significant as well, but not as significant as in-laws. So, and in-laws are third parties. So other third parties. Then communication style, ineffective communication, children issues like parenting or even lack of children in the marriage was highlighted. Then differences in perception of what marriage is, and then house chores featured. Yay. Yeah, house chores, who will do the chores, was also listed as one of the causes of conflict in marriage.
I find it very interesting because a long time ago, I mean, I heard this, that the 3 top causes: power, money, and sex. And this survey kind of also that we did kind of supports that, and that in-law comes in very close fourth. You know, it was a sprint. Money is like
money was like Ben Johnson, number 1.
Money, I don't use Ben Johnson.
Like the fastest. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So what are the reasons for? So these are causes of conflict. So let's talk about why. Why are these things? You know, regardless of country, race, tribe, these things keep coming up. So can you tell us why?
Okay, let me respond this way. You know, interestingly, when we hear money, we often think that it's the lack of money that's the cause of the conflict. But interestingly, I mean, you get to see people that, you know, they lack money and money is a problem. It has a cause of conflict in their marriage. And then some people, they have money and money is still a cause of problem in their marriage. In fact, there's this particular thing that I said I was going to share with you, that this story I read just recently on Facebook, where the man said he was building a house and that all the course of their marriage he had been according to him, the provider, you know, and so when he was building their home, he got stuck at a particular point and then he requested from his wife to assist him, that he was going to pay back or get a loan from her bank or something like that, and he was going to sort it out later, and she refused. And then later, she gave money, a very substantial amount of money, to fraudsters, and she was defrauded. And so she came crying to him, and he was conflicted, like, okay, do I console her, that she has lost money, and was playing in the back of his head that you had all that amount of money and you did not help me. When you look at that on the surface, you'll be like, oh, she's a bad person, she had money and she kept it away from her husband. You just see it from that surface thing. But then I just started saying, look, it may be a bit more than that. So conflicts can arise from background beliefs, what I have been told. Some people have been told that it's the duty, my money is our money, and then your money is my money. You understand what I'm saying, especially when it comes to the gender issue. So beliefs that people have held on to, and sometimes they hold on to those beliefs so firmly that it is your responsibility. I've seen a case where, they were in serious need, financial, but it wasn't as if the other person, the lady, was being wicked. It's just that it had been sunk into her that I am not supposed to provide. So sometimes people are working with their background beliefs, what has been told to them. That don't bring any of your money to support anything. Your money is your own. And so sometimes you want to look at background. What is the background? Background sometimes can cause conflict in marriage.
Or like maybe if it is sex, that sex is not holy. It's not something you should be doing all the time. What's your stress? Just do it when you want to have children.
Exactly.
Then every other time you watch television.
Yeah. So someone's background belief systems. Can sometimes be a cause of conflict. And then also, interestingly, the fact is that we are, the whole gender thing too, men and women often times process things a bit differently. Someone said that men often speak for information, women speak for affection. Just trying to what the person is trying. Really, let's not get lost into the semantics of the words, but it's just the fact that the way men tend to, I like to always give this example. So on the average, not everybody, on the average, when a man says, oh, I don't have, what he's saying is that I am owing 200, I'm owing, let's not call big money, let's say I'm owing 5,000 naira. That's when a man says I don't have, he's saying not only don't I have at all, I am owing. But when a woman says I don't have, what she means is that all I have left is 5,000 naira. So the man becomes shocked when the woman now, after saying I don't have, then they go buy something, and the woman now brings out 1,000, and the man, because in his own head, I don't have means I'm owing, and then the woman, I don't have is I still have. I have, what's that? There's a name you call it, vex money. I still have that.
I still have vex money.
Yes, I
need to have vex money.
Yes, so so the difference in gender sometimes can be a cause of conflict. Then another thing too is just how we communicate, how we talk. And I must say that there are a lot of things. Sometimes your biases, events that have happened to you, some traumatic experiences. Sometimes they are not even traumatic experiences, just some experiences.
Some people have grown cold, like nothing phases them, and some people are sensitive. So when you have those, and they are usually attracted to each other, these kind of people, the cold people, they will not stay on their own and go and find equally cold people. They will go and find the person that is hot. So two of them will come together, and the way they communicate might affect, might lead to conflict. One person may be too sensitive, and the other person might be too, insensitive.
Yeah. In fact, I remember someone said something that, oh, he's so Now, this is not really about a gender thing. So we are different.
We're saying why these conflicts will arise. Why you do not see, and you should not expect to see something like money from the same perspective.
Yeah.
It won't happen. It's rare that you just get married and then you will just have the same perspective on issues.
Yeah.
It's hard. So these are the reasons. Men and women are different.
I want to share different
Backgrounds. Somebody came from, a background where maybe monogamous home, where we don't hustle for food. You just chill, and your food, like if you even sleep and wake up, you go to the kitchen, you will see your food there. It's waiting for you. While the other person came from a polygamous home, where perhaps you need to hustle. You need to wake up bright and early and go and stand in the kitchen, position yourself beside the food so that you can get your own. Something as basic as that.
Yeah.
Everything is a struggle.
Yeah.
You grew up in a house where you can't trust.
Yeah.
You have to hide everything.
Yeah.
You have to sneak and do everything. And then your spouse grew up in a home where everything is free.
Yeah.
Everything is open.
Yeah.
Everybody is trustworthy.
Exactly.
So these are things that you don't even realize how much they can bring conflict. Like for us, when we got married, it was shocking. He didn't grow up with his mom, and
my mom died, but my mom wasn't there. Just
his mom wasn't in the house. She
Yeah.
was, she was elsewhere, and then, so it was a polygamous situation, and it was just so glaring. A lot of things happened that I now realize that, wow, the fact that my mom would discipline me for certain things, it wasn't playing out. It was like there's a reset button that wasn't in his body,
Yeah.
that was in my own body.
Yeah.
So it just hit me one day that, oh, okay, he didn't grow up with his mom, and that's why he does things, that way. So it was a teachable moment for me. So these little things that we take for granted can actually lead to conflict and, a difference in perspective.
Yeah.
First of all, we are different, man and woman. Secondly, backgrounds are different, belief
Cultural
systems are
belief
different,
systems.
and then we are human beings. We are all different. So even twins are different. Twins raised in the same house are different. And then poor communication, or communication that is either you don't communicate at all, or communication is poor. Some people don't like to talk.
So what kind of
It's not as if they are quarreling with you. They just don't want to talk. They just want to be in tune with their maker, and with themselves.
So that
But
kind
not
of
you. It's not personal.
That kind of borders on personality. So
Yes.
your personality too can be a source of conflict. Some people are quiet. Some people are outspoken. I remember a couple once said, an elderly couple once said to me that when they go out for parties, her husband will always be like, "You talk too much, keep quiet." So sometimes when they are going out, she's like, "Please, just sit down. I want to be lively at
Yes.
bed." And if you don't manage that properly, it can then cause problems. So you will think that, oh, there's something wrong or this thing. It's just a difference in personality, a difference in how we see things. So that's why that's really. So we're just establishing that, look, conflicts come from different things, from different background, from the fact that we are different genders, and the gender thing, we process things a bit differently. So when I say certain things that men do, it doesn't mean that every single man does that exact thing. Neither does it mean that every single woman does, but there are certain things that most women will do, and sometimes we do those things because that's how culture has raised us. For example, women are more expressive. Culture allows you to be more expressive with your emotions.
You're supposed to be friendly as a woman.
Men, exactly.
People assume that because you're a woman, you should be maternal
And
what's that word? Nurturing and subservient.
Subservient, that's
like,
the word. Like,
yes, sir. You must. They're not ready when you are a woman, and none of these things are your problem. In fact,
if your personality is
not maternal.
If your personality is forceful as a woman, they'll say, okay,
you are not nurturing, and there's no subservience here. So people are shocked. The in-laws are shocked. The husband is shocked. Everyone is shocked. But it is what it is. So how do we resolve the conflict? That's what. So we are saying conflict is normal. It will happen, And that's why we always say marriage is for mature people.
Very important.
So you need to know that this place you are going, this journey, this road called marriage that you are going, quarrel is there, conflict is there. Conflict, not necessarily quarrel.
Yeah.
Conflict is there.
Conflict is there.
So, but there
not,
are healthy...
not necessarily for everybody, but I mean, a lot of people experience conflict.
There will be conflict.
That's the truth.
There will be conflict as sure as there's conflict. There will be... Ha! I'm seeing some rhymes. Conflict.
As long as there's conflict,
there will be conflict.
Okay, so how do let's move on a bit. We've established.
Yeah, I'm trying to be serious.
Yes, you are trying. Try harder. You
okay.
know. So so now we're going to talk about healthy ways to deal with conflicts. But before we talk about healthy ways, let's talk about some common ways people deal with conflicts that is unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know, but let me say this. Many times people deal with conflict this way, it kind of gives them some form of relief, you know, but in the long term, it just doesn't create that help.
It's not helping anybody.
It doesn't help.
Starting with
it doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because marriage is to be enjoyed. Marriage is a beautiful thing.
Marriage is
you know.
Sweet.
Yes. Yes.
Marriage is sweet. Marriage is supposed to be sweet.
Yes, but because I mean, in my experience, sometimes I've seen people, because they are dealing with their conflict in unhealthy ways. They may be married for many years, but you can still see. I remember someone saying having gates. You know, the both spouse stay in the opposite rooms, but it has gates because I can't trust my spouse may come over and kill me one day. So, so that's because over the years it's possible they've had conflicts, but they've not been managing it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So there are some unhealthy ways people. So please send in your questions, so you don't have to wait
and
till
your comments.
And your comments. You know, send in your questions whenever and however.
So, the
so,
first unhealthy way to manage conflict in marriage is malice. Oh, malice is sweet. It can be sweet. It can be sweet.
Malice.
But it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for you. It's unhealthy for your spouse. It's unhealthy for the marriage.
It's unhealthy for your health.
It's unhealthy for your health because you're storing stuff where food should be. Malice is there. Where liver should be, malice is there. Yeah. You know, malice is just choking everywhere, and it's not healthy. So, especially with your spouse that you're seeing every day, you're living in the same house. Do you know if you're an expert malice keeper here? Hello, you notice that there's this tightening in your chest when you're keeping malice. So it's not healthy. Anything that makes your body, any part of your body, at any given point in time, you check your body, there's discomfort, there's pain. Then it's not a healthy thing, okay? So stop introducing poison into your body. Another unhealthy conflict resolution habit is what?
Avoidance and withdrawal. I mean, some people just feel like, I don't like conflicts, I don't like shouting, I can't shout, and they just withdraw.
It's not malice, but they
just avoid, you know. They don't like certain topics. It's just like, let's just sweep under the carpet.
So that's like denial.
Let's just leave, but you are hurt. Let's just be together. You know, you don't want to talk about those topics, but they are hurt. You are hurt, and over the years, it just keeps piling.
It's like a rug in your house, and you keep sweeping stuff under that rug. One day you're going to trip. After a while, you're going to start tripping and falling down every time you get to that spot.
Now, we may not be exhaustive, but another way you deal with
violence,
unhealthy way. Yeah.
Violence. It's not healthy. So you're upset, and then you start to break stuff, and then you start to break people. You start to throw blows. You can throw blows with your words. It's not only when...
We're not saying you should throw blows with your words.
We're saying that there are unhealthy
is both
conflict.
Physical and with words.
So physical and verbal abuse, physical and verbal violence is not healthy. It is not the way to go. It can be sweet. It can give you short-term relief, but it's not healthy. You're not helping the situation.
Yeah. Another unhealthy way, kind of close to violence, is something called unrestrained display of emotion. So some people can be dramatic.
It's
you
drama,
know, just rather than face the situation, rather than let's talk about you, just roll, kill me today, you will kill me. You will kill me or roll. I'm going out. You know, just let us talk.
Or start a social media war.
Yeah, just let us talk. But you just like and sometimes with unrestrained emotion, this is what I notice. And I mean, these are also ways people cope with stress. Sometimes after all of those words you say, all of those drama you have displayed, especially when you have said very hurtful things, you know, very hurtful things, you now like get on and say, well, I now feel okay with myself. Let's move on.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Sorry now. Won't you take sorry? You know, sometimes the damage already has been left.
Yeah.
So unrestrained display of emotions, no, it's not a very
AKA
healthy
drama.
way. Yeah.
It's not healthy. Then you have talking about others. So some couples, they have challenges with each other, then they don't address it, and then they start to gossip. They use other, you know, when people say they use other people to settle.
Yeah.
So they know what they are doing. They don't want to talk about their
own issue.
So they use either the children or the in-law or the neighbor or Nigeria's problem
Or something happened in their church.
or something happening in their church to
their
resolve the quarrel. So
Yeah.
that, you know, they weren't talking to each other. So they use that thing that happened to resolve and start talking to each other. It's not healthy, people. It's not healthy. You're not helping yourself.
It's like saying that you find a common enemy, and then because you have a common enemy, we are now friends back. It's like you've not really talked about your own issues. You just only raised something else wrong with somebody, and we both agree, and we are gisting, and we are good. So yeah, another unhealthy way is inflicting self-harm. We're just going to say the two together, and then I guess you just take men. So, inflicting self-harm, whereby people hurt themselves or harm themselves. I will kill myself, or they take something, or they feel like, especially when people struggle with things like depression or have traits of depression. You know, every time there is some form of conflict, their own way of resolving is that one way of escape. You know, so I will harm myself. Sometimes people don't even necessarily go all the way to take their lives, but they harm themselves. They literally cut themselves and say and threaten, I'm going to drink poison or something like that. And the other person is just wondering on what. Sometimes you think that it will endear the other person, but it's scary. It's scary that like we're arguing, and then the next thing you are saying is that I'll drink poison. That's like I beg you, before your family will now come and say I'm the one that killed you.
And it doesn't solve anything at the end of the day. It doesn't solve anything. So then you have things like digressing to unrelated past issues. We're talking about what happened here today, and you're talking about what happened in 1974, which maybe you brought up in 1974 or you did not bring up in 1974, and then you're bringing it up now. Like, how does that help? And sometimes what you're even bringing up is totally unrelated. You may have an issue now, and then you say that's how in your family, that's how, you just go throw it off. It doesn't help. I heard of a couple that, the guy was like, the lady was like, okay, so they went for honeymoon, and when they went for honeymoon, the guy said he had to cut the honeymoon short and return to Nigeria, and then he gave her money. And then she was like, she wasn't happy that, why would you leave our honeymoon and drop money? He was like, but I just dropped how many £1,000 or whatever for you. Has your father ever given you that? Like, is that what we are discussing? Oh, they got divorced, so like that marriage, they didn't see 1 month, So it is the unhealthy ways that we resolve conflict that is the issue.
Yeah.
It's not
the presence
the issue. It's not the conflict in itself that is the cause of the conflict. You hear people say they got divorced over toothpaste and toothbrush issue. It's not that in itself that is the problem. It is the unhealthy ways in which we use to resolve the issue.
Okay, so the final one I just want before we then talk about is the use of alcohol and drugs. I mean, you have conflict in your marriage. The divergence of ideas, of interest, of the people themselves, and then you feel like I'm going to go and drink, or I'm going to use drugs, to kind of numb that pain.
So you walk away.
So rather than talking about the issue, you just keep using substances. I mean, sleep pills, from sleep pills to alcohol to all sorts of harder or tougher this thing. Those are they may give you some sense. The idea of all of these things that you may make excuses like, oh, I'm an angry person. She made me angry. That's why I was violent. You said something. That's why I said very hurtful words to you, and all of that. Those things may give you some form of relief. Silent treatment is another. That's like avoiding this thing.
Silent treatment, not malice.
As malice, that is the child of. You say we're not keeping malice, just that we're silent. It's the senior brother that's called malice. But taking substances to is a very unhealthy way. So let's kind of move to having said all of this. What are the healthy ways? Healthy ways. Now let me put the background here. So many times people come into conversations, marriage counseling. They want to discuss the problem. They want to. Okay, is there a cycle of violence, maybe from husband to wife, and from wife to kids? Like we talked about, people resolve conflicts through violence. So when people come into conversations, or come into counseling, they want to often stress like the problem that it is. So we may not be able to start because every conflict is unique, every couple is unique. But so we're going to just list some.
You asked the question. Are you answering that question?
So it says, is there a cycle of violence?
I think what the person is saying
I don't understand.
He's saying, is there a cycle of violence, as in when a husband inflicts harm on the wife, then in turn she inflicts on the children? Is there? Can it trigger a cycle?
Yes. I mean,
that's what you're asking. Okay, Daniel. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why, like in dealing with healthier ways to deal with conflict. We're just going to lay some basic principles, because you can't talk about conflict resolution without talking about effective communication. So, yes.
The answer to your question is yes. There's a cycle of
he's saying
violence.
Yes to that you've answered.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a cycle of violence. You treat people the way you are. You
hurting people hurt people, basically. So if someone is hurting, then transfers to the kids, and sometimes like your father is man, you see maybe the person sees like this boy is like his father, or this girl is like the father. You will not be like a father. So there's just a circle of violence going on. So some ways to resolve, healthier ways to resolve conflict, not in any particular order, just some tips. Number one,
no, this one is key.
What do you mean key?
This number one is key.
Forgiveness.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, forgiveness. The truth is this. I didn't want to put it as number one because it's you need to understand that because conflict will arise and conflict will be there. Learning the art of forgiving. But I guess we'll have to talk about it a bit more. But go ahead and I didn't want to call it as number one. I want to call it as something else, even though we're not looking at it. But since you say it's key, go ahead.
I think forgiving is key. Like, look at.
It's key. Well, I agree.
Look at the example you gave. Look at the example you gave in the issue with the man whose wife had money and then he didn't have money, and so on and so forth. You can't resolve conflict in your marriage. We're talking about marriage now, without actually learning to forgive. You must learn to forgive. It's not even everything that will be resolved perfectly. You must learn to forgive. If you can't forgive, sometimes there are hurdles you must cross to be able to resolve conflict, and one of those first hurdles is forgiveness. So you can even see and hear what the person is saying. It's a journey, but it's something that we must learn to do.
Okay, and in addition to that, it's important to know that it's really not, forgiveness is not really about whether I will forgive if I am the offender. So it's like, okay, I will say sorry because I am the offender. Just appreciating that whether you are the offender or the offended, just learning that if you want it to work, forgiveness is quite important. It's quite important. That cannot forgive, and forgive someone.
Forgive yourself, forgive the person.
So, and then, like I said, we'll still come back to forgiveness because I don't just want to jump
Forgiveness
into.
is huge.
And yes, I don't just want to jump to forgiveness as the first thing because the thing is,
Sorry.
stay on the problem. What is the problem? Identify in the conversation. Try and stay on the problem, not attacking the person. I think this is very, very key. This is something that we always talk about, that stay on the issue. I mean, assume that the person, the assumption is a low form of knowledge, but assume the other person is in a good place. But some people can just be, not be so nice to their spouse, but that their actions are wrong. Just for example, she talked about there were things I used to do that when she realized that it was coming from a place of my upbringing, not that I just wanted to be aloof or my personality, not that I just wanted to be bad in that regard, So you kind of have to, in the conversation when talking, you have to learn that it will be nice to learn the art of staying on what is the issue rather than attacking the person. You are always doing this. An example of attacking the person is you are always doing this, you are always doing that. That's how you are. You will never change. That you've left the subject matter. The thing is that, okay, I put the key here instead of putting the key here. Say you put the key here and let that be the focus of the conversation, not attacking the person as a bad person. That is quite key. So do not focus on the person, focus on the issue. Stay on the current problem. And
it's key and it's technical, but there's a.
But why is it technical?
Sometimes it's tough to do. You just want to, because maybe it's something you've been telling the person and you just want to really emphasize that I've been telling you this same thing and you're doing it over and over and over again. So that's why I said it's technical.
Yeah, so even at that, you are still saying, I've been telling you, you're still about the issue, not about the person. You are not saying you are just lousy or you are just disrespectful or you are just bad or something like that. It's staying on the issue. It's very important you learn how to I don't want to say important or insist that it's just it makes things better when you learn the art of, okay, what is causing, why are you upset? This is what is making me upset. And if it's a repeated issue, please stress that, like she mentioned, we've said, I've gone over and over this before. Stress, you are still on the topic. Very important that you are still on the. And for you to do that, I think they're all kind of together. For you to be able to do that, you also have to maintain an open mind in conversation if you want to really understand the other person. Because sometimes seek to understand why this thing is frustrating to the other person, or why does the other person keep doing what they do. Or when you get feedback, don't be all. Don't just listen to prepare an answer like, okay, after you finish talking your own, I'm going to also attack. Because this often happens when you are saying this is what you are doing. The other person is pointing out what you also do, rather than like, okay, let's stay on the topic and understand.
Let's seek to understand. That thing you always say, seek to understand. Seek first to understand.
Seek first to understand. It's Steve Covey. It's not.
Seek first to understand.
Yeah, seek to be understood. No, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Okay.
So you want to look at your spouse, you want to understand their background, you want to understand where they are coming from, you want to understand them. Let me stress this. Understanding somebody does not necessarily mean agreeing with the person. Understanding and agreeing are two different things. I can understand you, doesn't necessarily mean I agree with you. But the fact that I understand you helps me to be able to empathize with you or approach my argument from a different standpoint. Let me give a case in point. So someone talked about how the whole COVID thing was of big concern to her because, generally it was a major issue, health issues, major issue, and then had one or two persons that had experienced the whole COVID that was like fatal COVID experience. But the husband or the wife, I don't want to give out anything. The spouse, they could not connect, so took it lightly. And one day there was an explosion in the house, and I said, you see, the thing is that you don't have to agree to the other person's view of how to go about COVID, but try to understand where they are coming from. Like for instance, maybe someone died of cancer on that person's side, and that person is very particular about certain things. Another one is like, you are just too fretful, you need to seek to understand the other person. Not just shut down the other person and say, well, your feelings are not valid or your expressions are not valid, and then that sometimes is the cause of the conflict because you've not taken time to listen to the person. So be open-minded, be willing to see from the other person's standpoint.
I want to dwell here another kind of scenario I want to bring up because different people have communicated this to me, even in counseling, the issue of health. So just because we touched that issue of maybe someone died in the person's family, from the person lost someone dear to cancer or something, and has decided to make certain lifestyle changes, and then is trying to bring their spouse on the journey to make those lifestyle changes because they are afraid that they would lose their spouse to this issue. They are afraid. So what he's saying is, you must try to understand where that person is coming from and not feel like this person just wants to cage me or micromanage me, but understand where that person is coming from. Then both of you can now walk through it, and in the process you can, because emotions like fear, anxiety, all those things, they are not necessarily healthy as well, but you cannot help your spouse overcome those fears, those concerns which they are projecting from issues outside the marriage into the marriage without understanding them. Because if you do not understand them and work with them on those issues, you just keep dismissing it and disregarding it, it's going to keep hurting your spouse. And eventually they're going to react in a way that you'll be like, where is this coming from?
I'm going to answer your question, please, but let me just once again buttress, because I think we can't stress this enough, seeking to understand. Sometimes some people, what determines their financial decisions is their own fears, their past experiences. And if you can understand that, sometimes it will help you in resolving conflicts. That the way you are going about your financial management has to do with some of your fears and all of that. So seek to understand and all of that. I can't stress that enough. So the question here is, please, I have another question. In resolving conflict and abuse in the home, does showing love to the abused person help alleviate the pain of the abuse? Well, when you say showing love, I'm just wondering what exactly do you mean. But can I say this? And this also kind of helps with also conflict resolution and communication. There's a saying I love so much. It says, actions speak louder than words, but words are clearer than actions. And that for me means that rather than just showing love, try to have a conversation on the conflict. Just throwing it under the carpet and say, okay, we're not going to talk about it, let me just keep showing love without addressing, you are hurting me. You've not talked about it, and you just feel that I will just be showing love. I'll just be showing love. Sometimes it is that showing love. Sometimes may even come from a place like avoidance. I don't like to discuss problem, so let me just be showing love.
What does showing love
so the person will get it. It may the for the
so
abuse.
Who is the abuse? Like, who is causing the abuse?
So the abuser is being shown love by the abuse. That's the abuser. The abuse is showing love to the abuser, with the hope that it will comfort the abused. if you don't address the problem, that doesn't necessarily address the problem, because just showing love when you have been hurt, or sometimes it's you are protecting yourself. You know, you think you are protecting yourself, but you are still hurting, because the abuser may or may not respond to that.
Is that what you meant by your question? Okay, Daniel. Is it the abuser, the abused person showing love to the abuser, or is it the abuser, or is it that somebody came into a marriage abused from previous experience, and then which one? You said yes. Which one? Which of the options?
Said showing love to the abused person help alleviate the person of the abused.
The pain.
Okay.
It says, so we need to be clear, there are three different scenarios. There is the case of somebody married someone who was abused, and then the person comes into the marriage, and then the past trauma of abuse is affecting the person, and then the spouse now is trying to shower love on the person so that they can be healed of that abuse. For that scenario, that showering of love alone sometimes may not be enough. They need to seek expert help sometimes, in addition to the showing love. Oh, we're all for showing love in that scenario.
Oh, yeah.
But you may need to seek expert help as well, to help the person overcome the past abuse. Then there's the second scenario where two people got married, and then one person is inflicting abuse on the other person, and then the person is now trying to show love to the person in apology. That one we don't approve.
And sometimes that's like being manipulative.
That one,
rather than say sorry or resolve the real issue, you are just trying to.
That one is not healthy at all, and in some cases, depending if it's violence or what, in some cases they just need to be apart and resolve their issues before they can come back together. It's not a healthy environment at all. Then there's the third one. What's the third one? So the spouse is being abused, and then the person is showing love to the abuser so that the abuser can, in the hope that the abuser can change.
I think
he has responded. In a marriage, the husband abuses the wife, and the kids observe all of it and try to help the wife overcome the past traumas. They show extra love and kindness to the wife in order to make her feel better. The best thing the kids can do for the wife is help her to escape that situation.
It's not same. It's not the same actually, because
no
the love from her kids great, but the pain is still, the union between her and her husband is still unique. The love the kids will not necessarily address that, and we can't talk about, maybe we'll talk about it more, but we've talked about in the past, and I think February, in a toxic relationship. Some relationship, are just, it's that's the kids showing love does not necessarily resolve.
It doesn't help.
It
will not help.
Our own this thing. The biggest gift.
It will console.
It will console.
It will not help.
Yes, that's the word. It will console.
It will console, but it will not help. It will not heal.
Yeah.
So there needs to be changes for help and healing to occur.
When we started this, when we were preparing for this, I kept saying to you, I said, I don't see how we are going to cover everything in this thing. So I clearly feel like we are going to have to continue this conversation next month on conflict resolution. For me, it's very important, and I'm hoping that we get it, really how to deal with it in a healthy way. There are many other points that is very important that we share, but this question by Okirike, that the kids showing love, yes, is great, it will console, but it will not necessarily help the abuser and the abused, and we've talked about it in other episodes, but one thing I know that always helps with those kind of situations is to expose the abuser. Abusers thrive in secrecy. They thrive in secrecy. They beat you, say don't talk. They beat you, they love you and say, okay,
Talk,
don't say anything. You know, I did it because I love you. Expose the abuser. When the abuser is exposed to the, you know, he will correct himself. You know.
apart from that, you will have help.
Yes, and
You will have
sometimes,
help.
sometimes I mean, it's okay to just, because this still comes down to unhealthy way of resolving conflict. You avoid, you withdraw. You don't. Sometimes to address a conflict, you have to be assertive. You know, be able to speak up. So it's unhealthy to just keep withdrawing. I don't like quarrel. I don't like to talk. Yet you are not happy. You know, it's not about just being together. It's really being happy together. You know, I preach this. I say this. I say, look, these comments are not for you to survive marriage. The idea here is for you to thrive in marriage. It's not I survived marriage.
It's not for you to endure your marriage.
It's for you to enjoy it.
It's for you to enjoy.
So it's not
your
just
marriage.
we've been married for 50 years yet we don't like each other, or we have, like what I always call it, you don't have an agreement, you have an arrangement. You know, it's like over time we just have an arrangement of how we deal with our stuff. We're not necessarily happy. It's not very healthy. And that's why I talk about healthier ways to deal with conflict in marriage. So this is what we're going to do, because time seems to be up, though you're always of the opinion that they should drive us from Instagram, you know, but it's like less than a minute or thereabout. But we are definitely going to come back and continue this discussion on healthier ways to resolve conflict. Can't stress it enough. Can't stress it enough.
Okay. Thank you. Greets Olatufe.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you. So it's there are healthier ways to deal with. There are healthier ways to deal with, to literally go through your mind. I can't stress that enough. And we really want to share these tips, you know, these principles. And so therefore, what we normally do, let me just say this quickly before we go off. So the love and mental health, where we focus on principles in marriage and all of that, different topics, holds every second Thursday of the month. So we put out flyers, put on our Facebook. Yeah, it's actually, you never notice. You will not notice, man. You will not notice. How would you notice?
You
just give me work.
I just know that you said it's so deal.
You think I'm just like, being late?
Okay.
Just no. It's actually every second Thursday, because
there's actually
there's a pattern to it. So it's second Thursday. You know, last week was January started on Thursday, so this is the second Thursday. So the second Thursday of May, we're going to continue our conversation on healthier ways to resolve conflict. So that's from me, Dr. Cyprian Devi, consultant psychiatrist and psychologist, signing out. And with me, or whatever. This is not a show, so I'm just forming. Let me form. Okay, so you see the anybody?
No, that's from Twitter. That's
okay.
Twitter.
Okay, yeah. So you want to say something before?
Nothing, you have signed us out, my lord. So
okay. Okay, well.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you
for
so much.
joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we hope that we are adding value and we are being a blessing. And you can always share with people who who need. In the multitude of everything we have said, maybe one thing can help somebody. And if we can reach only one couple or one person, that just makes everything worth it. So thank you so much for joining and listening. So second Thursday of next month.
Yeah.
Save the date, save the time. Enjoy your month of April.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful April. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Instagram. Yeah. Bye for now. Bye. And have a conflict-free marriage.
Not a conflict-free. Just learn to have
a
healthier way of managing.
Have a healthy conflict.
And whatever.
All join. You understand?
You understand. You get the point. Yes, you get the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.